Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the University of Washington Department of Communication Alumni of Distinction and Hall of Fame ceremony. Really glad to see you all here tonight. My name is Christine Harold. I'm a professor and chair of the Department of Communication. And on this beautiful October night, on this beautiful campus, we are celebrating some of the most accomplished alumni that have come through the halls of the Communication Building over several decades. Tonight, we induct 3 new members of our Alumni Hall of Fame and honor 3 alumni of distinction who will receive the Outstanding Early Career Award, the Excellence in Mentoring Award, and the CommLeader Award. It's really wonderful to see all of you here, faculty and staff, alumni, friends, and families, to celebrate our honorees. So thank you so much for taking time out of your beautiful fall night to come be with us. Really appreciate it. So last year marked the 20th anniversary of this event. For over 2 decades, we've come together as a community to celebrate some of our most distinguished and inspiring alumni, and I very much look forward to continuing that tradition tonight. If you're already a member of our Hall of Fame, or if you're a previous recipient of one of our Alumni of Distinction Awards, can you stand for just a moment, previous awardees, just so that we can recognize you? Thank you. And if you all don't mind, those of you who just stood, we do want to do a group photo after the event, so if you could stick around just for a few minutes, we're going to meet over by that step and repeat banner in the back corner. And then this year's recipients, you'll have to stick around a little longer because we have even more photos that we want to take of you. So yeah, if you guys could just do that, we'll remind you at the end. So then, after we honor this year's Alumni of Distinction awards, then we will commence with our 2025 inductees, Angela King, Bill Lane, and Dr. Kristen Moran, who will join the esteemed ranks of our Communication Alumni Hall of Fame. So we'll have a chance to hear from all 6 of our honorees this evening, each of whom will be introduced by a member of our faculty. So before we get started with the awards and inductions, I'd like to share just a few of the recent highlights from UWCommunication and just some of the things that we're looking forward to this year, some of the things that we're proud of from the previous year, just so that you can have a little bit of an update about what's been going on with us. So this fall, we welcome our newest faculty member, Jisoo Kim, who recently earned her PhD from the other UW, University of Wisconsin-Madison. Hi, Jisoo. Jisoo is a political communication scholar who studies how communication environments shape democracy. She focuses on how multimedia platforms and media messages influence what people believe, how they discuss politics, and how they engage in civic life. And her recent work examines how the broader communication ecology influences public perceptions of political polarization. So a relevant subject, to say the least. Dr. Carmen Gonzalez assumes the directorship of the Center for Communication, Difference, and Equity this year. The CCDE is home to Carmen's HEAL research team, the Health Equity Action Lab, among other scholarly and community-based programs. We're really grateful for Carmen's leadership, as well as the center's associate directors, Andrea Otanyas, Leilani Nishime, Savon Williams, Amanda Frizz, and Tamika Townsell. And we're just really looking forward to supporting this impactful center, now 10 years old. They just celebrated their 10-year anniversary last spring as it starts its new chapter. The department has recently hosted a number of events, and I want to call your attention to just a few of them. So we host a number of public events and scholar-to-scholar type events, such as last year we heard from Dr. Silvio Weisbord of George Washington University explore the question of, can journalists be safe in a violent world? Content creators and journalists convened for an event to discuss the ways that social media and the rise of the influencer has changed the way people consume the news. Our Center for Journalism, Media, and Democracy hosted the presidents of KUOW, Cascade PBS, and KNKX for a discussion of public media under pressure about the future of public media faces amidst, of course, recent political and economic challenges. And earlier this month, the CJMD held a discussion panel on freedom of speech and student journalism, featuring stakeholders and experts on that subject. This is an acutely pressing issue. As you may have read, student journalists at the Daily recently joined the student newspapers at 54 other universities in signing an amicus brief in support of the Stanford Daily's case that the federal government's actions on student visas have created a chilling effect on students' freedom of speech. The Community Data Science Collective, a collaborative research lab among faculty and graduate students here at UW, Northwestern, and Purdue, led in this department by Dr. Benjamin Mako Hill, hosts a number of research projects and scholarly events, such as a dialogue earlier this month exploring how companion chatbots invite deep emotional disclosure while raising concerns about data privacy and how some communities are pushing back. In spring, we welcomed the inaugural cohort of emerging scholars to campus. This is a program, a new department initiative led by Dr. Tamika Townsell, which aims to expand access to graduate education for students, including those impacted by racism and its intersections. This 4-week workshop series explores career pathways available to communication PhDs and the nuts and bolts of the application process and just how to flourish in graduate school. This is something, graduate school for so many students just has this kind of mystique to it, especially if you're a first generation student like I was, where it's just, it's really helpful to have somebody kind of show you the ropes of what it is to apply and go to graduate school. So if you know, we're currently recruiting for this spring's cohort, the second year that we're doing it. So if you know a young person who's considering graduate level study, encourage them to apply. So as always, we share videos of some of our public events, most of our public events, on our department's YouTube channel, and we're increasingly sharing news and videos and other content on our LinkedIn page as well. So if you're not already and you want to dig in further to some of the things that we're doing, follow us on both of those platforms. So Communication Leadership, affectionately known as CommLead, our professional master's program, continues to flourish and innovate, welcoming students from all over the world to develop their professional skills and knowledge as they prepare for communication careers in a variety of industries. CommLead students and faculty they represent over 20 countries among that community. And its director, Dr. Akinya Shin, who you'll hear from a little bit later tonight, has been traveling this year, establishing partnerships with universities in Korea, Taiwan, China, and India. To address the world's most pressing, our most pressing shared problems, communication leaders really need to have a global perspective, and we're really committed here at UWCommunication to fostering that perspective, and so we're really grateful to the work that CommLead is doing. So we have a lot to be proud of, and we have a lot to look forward to as a scholarly community as we evolve and as we adapt to these changing times. UW-Communication continues to utilize our platforms and our networks to help heal divisions and to amplify the important contributions we make through our research, our teaching, our support of students and alumni, and our broader community. So my colleagues and I are deeply grateful for the opportunity to serve our students and the public, doing work that we find critically important and work that really matters. The subjects that we teach, political communication, rhetoric, communication technologies and systems, interpersonal conflict and resolution, how to communicate across racial and cultural differences, and so much more. These are more important today than they probably have ever been. And our alumni, donors, and friends of the department help make this work possible, and we're so glad that you're a part of it. Thank you. So if you have questions about any of our public programming, or if you want to share your expertise with our students through our Career Kickstart professional development program, or if you have updates from your own career that you'd like to share, please reach out to us. We really do want to hear from you. So I just want to call your quick attention to introduce Jillian Cobb. I'm not sure where Jillian is. Jillian? Oh, you're right, right to my right. Jillian is our outreach and events manager, who really is kind of our alumni liaison and ambassador to the department. So I just wanted to make sure that you saw who Jillian is. She's the one that you might be receiving emails from and so on. And so we really invite you, reach out to Jillian or to me if there's anything that if you'd like to get involved in any way. We very much welcome that. So again, welcome, especially to the 2025 honorees and their friends and family who are helping us to celebrate them tonight. We're delighted that you're here. So with that, I just want to make just a quick few logistic notes. One is, you probably saw when you came in the foyer, is an all-gender bathroom just to your left there. And there's also a coat room if you need that. The bar, which is relatively important, is back there and open until 8:15. So it'll be there now through the intermission, and then it'll close after the intermission. So you'll have an opportunity if you want to grab another drink. And then just a quick note to our recipients, our 6 recipients. When you are being introduced, you'll be introduced by a faculty member. That faculty member will present you, they're over here, where are they? Present you with a crystal plaque, and we'll invite you to just take a quick picture after they introduce you, before you make your remarks. We'll just ask you to stand kind of here in front of the screen. We'll take a quick picture, and then the microphone is yours to make your own remarks. So let's get started with our alumni of distinction. We begin tonight by honoring our 3 alumni of distinction. For the first of these, I'd like to welcome my colleague, Dr. Akin Yashin, to the podium to introduce our first award of the evening, which is the Outstanding Early Career Award.
I'm shorter, so good evening, everyone. Thank you, Christine, and great to see so many alumni we were able to honor in years past, and so excited to welcome new inductees to our Alumni Hall of Fame, as well as recognize awards for alumni of distinction. Good evening. My name is Akin Yashin, and I am the Director of Communication Leadership Master's Program here at the department. And our very first award is Outstanding Early Career Award. So tonight, we have the great privilege of honoring someone whose journey embodies the very best of what the Communication Leadership Program represents. Someone who has not only excelled professionally, but has continuously given back to strengthen the community that helped her path. Our program's alumni, Evelyn Kuo, is receiving tonight's Outstanding Early Career Award. Evelyn's story with our program began in 2019 when she joined us as a student in Master of Communication in Digital Media. But she didn't come here just to learn. She came here to build, to connect, and to lead. When the pandemic arrived in 2020, a difficult time for all of us to teach and learn, and turned our world upside down, Evelyn stepped forward. As our program's very first student event coordinator, she helped navigate one of the most challenging transitions we've ever faced, moving from in-person gatherings to a fully virtual landscape. While so many of us felt isolated and disconnected, Evelyn worked tirelessly to ensure that our community and students still felt connected despite the circumstances. She made sure that they belonged to something larger than themselves, that they remained connected to each other and to this campus. That spirit of service, it never stopped. After earning her Master of Communication, Evelyn launched her career at Remitly as a content associate. But here's what's remarkable. In just 4 years, she has advanced through multiple roles, most recently serving as a security cultural program manager. In this role, she leads initiatives that drive cultural change across security, privacy, and engineering teams, leveraging program management, problem solving, content strategy, data analysis, to name a few of her impactful work. Her cross-industry experience spans from fast-moving consumer goods to B2B communication to fintech. Her multilingual abilities, Mandarin, Taiwanese, Turkish, yes, we talk in Turkish together, and English, enable her to coordinate globally in diverse multicultural environments. Tonight, for example, she'll be joining us, unfortunately, from the Philippines, but really excited to see her friends and family here, continuing to make those global connections that define her work. But here is what makes Evelyn truly exceptional. Even as her career launched, she has never forgotten about her communities. She has never stopped giving back. From 2022 to 2023, Evelyn served as manager of the Alumni Fellows program of our program, a cohort that bridges current students and alumni through workshops, networking events, and career support. She hosted the Alumni Fellow First Friday gatherings, created spaces where students, faculty, and alumni could strengthen their bonds. Every year since 2021, Evelyn has represented her organization remotely at our career fair, recruiting students for internships and full-time roles. She serves as a dedicated alumni mentor, supporting current students as they navigate their own professional journeys. And just this summer, she organized a town hall event at Remitly, where our faculty trained technical staff at her organization in professional communication. Let me share a few words about what others have said about Evelyn. Her fellow cohort alum, Alyssa Senk, captures it perfectly. When I think of Evelyn, she said, I think of someone who acts with purpose and kindness. And Susan McLaurin, her also cohort mate and our artist in residence now, says, Evelyn set a high bar for teamwork and leadership. She exemplifies the core values of our program, and I couldn't be prouder of her continued growth and achievements. I, too, have had the privilege of working with Evelyn, first as her instructor, later at many events. I'm always in awe of Evelyn's curiosity, her commitment, and her spirit. A few years ago, we even met when she was visiting Turkey, my country, and I always enjoy our chats in Turkish. Her passion for building bridges between communities is evident in everything she does. Tonight, we honor Evelyn with this Outstanding Early Career Award, not just for what she has achieved, but for who she is. A leader who lifts others up, a professional who brings purpose and kindness to everything she does, and an alumna who reminds us of the power of staying connected to the communities that shape us. Evelyn, even though you're in distance, I know you'll join us. Your career and your accomplishments will inspire many of our current and future students. You show them what's possible when you combine excellence with generosity, ambition with service, and success with staying true to your values. It's my great honor to present you, I'll present it to Josh on your behalf, this award. Congratulations, Evelyn. Seni canı gönülden kutluyorum. We're so proud of you. And I'll invite Josh to receive an award on behalf of her.
Thank you, Akin, and good evening, everyone. It's an incredible honor to be here tonight to receive this award. While I wish I could be there in person, I am truly grateful that we can still celebrate together. I hope you're all enjoying the food and drinks, and I'm especially thankful for technology that lets us connect and celebrate across the world. I want to thank the University of Washington, especially the communication department and leadership, my graduate school, my professors, along with mentors, classmates, and of course, my family and friends who encouraged me along the way. I wouldn't be here without you. When I first walked onto campus, I had just moved from Taiwan. I didn't know anyone, and everything felt new. Not just the language, but the little things like how people made small talk, the tipping culture, how classes were run, even how comfortable everyone seemed speaking up and sharing their opinions. I was nervous, and I was also thinking of how UW shaped me, providing a new way to orient myself to the world. UW gave me the opportunity to explore the intersections between communication and technology. I learned that communication is more than words. It is how we connect across cultures, systems, and ideas. UW encouraged me to look at how technology shapes human connection, starting from each interaction as a student, and started to show that imagination can reshape both. One clear moment was during the pandemic. I was one of the first students to join our UW-CommLeader consultancy program that helps small businesses transition online. This would be hard for them with limited staff, even in the best of times, and now it was vital for their continued success. We work with local shops and restaurants to transition in them, setting up websites, strengthening their social media presence, and finding new ways to stay connected with their customers when meeting in person wasn't possible. That experience showed me how communication and technology can come together as a lifeline for communities in moments of crisis, taking the theory and the classroom into people's lives. UW also taught me to imagine new orientations for the world. Instead of asking what already exists, professors and peers pushed me to think what is possible, whether it was through projects, research, or late-night brainstorming sessions. I learned that creativity and rigor go hand in hand. Our firm grounding is what already exists should be the starting point of their journey. One project especially close to my heart was when my classmates and I volunteered to create a comprehensive guide for the international students living in the US. We realized that while the information was out there, it was scattered across many unlinked websites, forums, and university pages. For many students, that made navigating daily life, such as setting up a bank account, finding housing, or understanding healthcare, confusing and stressful. I thought of my own experience and used those difficult experiences to inform what would have helped from what was available to us. So we decided to bring everything together in one central place, making it easier for students to find what they need and feel more confident navigating in the US. The guide is now live on the CommLeader website, which makes me proud knowing it's still helping new students today and that we were giving encouragement to drive this change. That experience taught me the power of empathy-driven problem solving and the importance of looking beyond what already exists to imagine what could truly make life better for others. The most personal lesson was how to navigate self-doubt. Like many students, I often question myself, am I good enough? Am I on the right path? Or am I making the most of my time here? UW gave me the environment where those questions could be starting points instead of roadblocks. Through trial and error, mentorship, and encouragement, I found the confidence to explore, to fail, and to keep going until I discovered what mattered most to me. What also made a huge difference was UW's embrace of diversity. I came to understand that our differences make us stronger. They help us spot potential blind spots and expand what's possible for everyone. That mindset has stayed with me, and it's now I try to approach my life and my work today. Those lessons continued when I left campus. In my career now, I carry them every day. The curiosity to ask why, the courage to reimagine what's possible, and the resilience to face uncertainty. These are all directly tied to what I learned at UW. That curiosity led me to make an unexpected pivot from marketing into technical program management. It was the kind of leap that UW's constant push for new classes and new challenges prepared me well to make. I wanted to understand more than just how stories are told. I wanted to know how systems work and help use technology to empower people. When I took on my first major initiative in this new role, leading our company's global planning and execution for Security and Privacy Awareness Month, I had to learn fast. This meant asking countless questions to understand the technical details behind our programs, finding creative ways to make security and privacy education engaging for thousands of employees across a broad array of cultures, regions, and reimagine how a compliance-driven topic could actually spark curiosity and participation, even from non-technical teams. It wasn't easy stepping into the unknown, which is where resilience learned at UW came in. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to grow, and each success is a reminder that curiosity and courage don't just open doors, they help you build new ones. When I encounter challenges, I often think back to the moments here at UW, the times I stretched beyond what I thought I could do, and the times I learned on collaboration. The CommLeader program pushed me to search for answers instead of thinking that I had them already, and I have used the structure learned here countless times in my personal and professional life since graduation. So tonight, I want to express my deepest gratitude for receiving this award to my professors who challenged me to think about what could be done rather than what was merely expected, to my classmates who collaborated and inspired me with diverse perspectives, and to UW as a whole for being a place where exploration and reinvention are celebrated. As I look ahead, I will continue carrying these values forward by staying curious, by never losing sight of what matters to humans, even if I deeply engage with technical systems. This award is more than just an earlier career milestone. It's a reminder to me, and hopefully for all of you, that the journey of learning, questioning, and imagining continues. There's a Chinese saying, 学如逆水行舟，不进则退. Learning is like rolling upstream. If you don't advance, you will fall back. UW gave me an incredible opportunity for advancement, and I will always be grateful for the ways in which it shaped my path and continues to open up my future. Thank you, and be boundless.
Congratulations, Evelyn. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from the Philippines. Fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations. So now I welcome my colleague, Dr. Carmen Gonzalez, to introduce Resita Mahanatho, I'm sorry, recipient of the Excellence in Mentoring Award. Thanks, Resita.
I'm even shorter than a can, so. Oh, thank you. Good evening, everyone. As Christine mentioned, my name is Carmen Gonzalez. I'm an associate professor in the department, and I am the director of the Center for Communication, Difference, and Equity. I'm really excited to present this award because mentoring has been such a critical part of my professional journey and such a big part of the work we do at the center. We do a lot of mentoring programming for students across the university, especially first-gen and BIPOC students. Resita's passion for mentoring began as an undergraduate at the University of Washington, where she participated as a dream project mentor and supported college freshmen through undergraduate academic affairs. She also tutored algebra and geometry to 7th and 8th graders, which must have been challenging, at Aki Kuro's Middle School, the same school she once attended as a student. That experience of returning to her own middle school confirmed her commitment to working with young people during one of the most formative stages of their development. For the past 9 years, Resita has worked at Rainier Scholars, an educational nonprofit dedicated to expanding pathways to and through college for BIPOC and first-generation students in the Seattle area. She began with the youngest students in the academic enrichment program and has had the privilege of seeing them progress through the organization's 12-year college prep model. For the past 3 years, Resita has served as Associate Director of Career Development, where she mentors students from middle school through college, guiding them in building confidence, leadership skills, and career readiness. She oversees internships, workshops, and partnerships with schools, community-based organizations, and corporate employers to expand access to meaningful opportunities for her scholars. A first-generation college graduate and South Seattle native, Resita remains deeply grateful for the mentors who supported her own path and is committed to paying it forward by helping students recognize their strengths, navigate barriers, and thrive as leaders and change makers. Resita's nominator, Sarah Jackson, her colleague at Rainier Scholars, writes that Resita has made a tremendous impact in the first decade of her career, supporting over 1,500 students and families during her tenure at Rainier Scholars, most of whom are or will be the first in their family to attend college. Sarah describes how Resita has forged partnerships with local programs and employers and notes that, quote, Resita's unique combination of passion, creativity, leadership, and interpersonal skills have led to hundreds of growth and learning opportunities for students. Perhaps most tellingly, Sarah writes, Rosita is deeply trusted and respected by the broader community, from students and families to fellow staff members to the myriad of partners she engages with. She is frequently sought out by local partners as a source of wisdom on building inclusive workplaces, as well as best practices for supporting BIPOC and first-gen students in professional settings. Sarah concludes by noting that Rosita's career demonstrates the breadth of what a UW communication degree can achieve. She quotes, "This unique combination of skills and abilities, all flowing from strong communication and relationship skills, combined with a deep passion for service and community, have led to Rosita forging an authentic path for herself and in support of the values and communities she cares most about. She leads by example and is a source of inspiration and admiration to all who know her." Please join me in celebrating Rosita Mahamatnos, this year's recipient of the Alumni Award for Excellence in Mentoring.
I feel like there's such a variation. I'm gonna adjust the mic because I have these little kitten heels on, and we just watched a Zoom presentation. I'm going to open my old school notepad notes. Well, good evening, everyone. It's such an honor to be here tonight and to receive this award in excellence in mentoring. More importantly, thank you to the Department of Communication for this recognition. It truly means a lot to me. I'll start by saying I didn't always know how I was going to serve as a mentor throughout my life. I just knew that I either wanted to be a mentor that I wish I had or to embody the lessons from mentors who shaped me along the way. For me, the beauty of mentorship lies in those small moments. When someone thanks you for something you barely even remember doing, maybe it was a quick conversation, a small piece of advice, or simply showing up, but to them it meant the world. Those are the moments that remind me that mentoring isn't about having all of the answers. It's about seeing potential in others before they see it themselves. As a first-generation college graduate and a South Seattle native, mentorship has always carried a special meaning for me. Growing up, I needed role models, and often it took multiple people to fill that gap because there wasn't very many mentors who either looked like me or shared my experiences. Over time, I realized that either being the first or the only in certain spaces came with challenges. But it also came with purpose. It gave me the chance to open the door for others. During my time at Rainer Scholars, I've had the privilege of working there for the past 9 years, and I've seen mentorship in its most powerful form. I've watched students come in quiet and uncertain and grow into leaders who take up space, who own their voices, and who understand that they belong in every room they walk into. One of my favorite recent stories just happened this summer, where I had a quiet high school student who decided to join a pre-college program outside of the state. It was her first time flying alone, her first time being in that kind of academic environment, and I tried really hard to not be overprotective, so I gave her space. I actually didn't check in too much, so I wanted to trust that no news was good news. Through the summer, I didn't hear from her, but when she returned, she sent me a very beautiful photo of her in front of the college campus and wrote, "Thank you for making this happen." In her program eval from her professor, she wrote, "I just feel more prepared for college now." And that line says everything to me. And that's what mentorship is. It's guidance, it's confidence, and it's planting the seeds for growth in ways that often bloom very quietly. Mentorship has been about helping others see what's already within them, reminding them that they have the tools they need to succeed. And maybe that's why I'm still so proud to be a communication major. When I first chose this path, I kept hearing left and right that it was a soft major. But I learned very quickly that communication is the foundation for connection, leadership, and change. Every day I use the skills I learned in this department, from writing to public speaking to listening, and to really just help others express who they are, to take up space, and to know that their voices matter. So I want to take this moment to thank all of the mentors who have shaped me personally and professionally, my incredible colleagues at Rainier Scholars who make it possible to do the meaningful work, and then the Department of Communication for helping me see that communication is really everywhere and everything. Small shout out to Dr. Eakin. Like, I took 4 or 5 courses, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna chill here. I've learned, though, that when you do the work that truly fills you up, it doesn't shape your career, it shapes who you are, and that's what mentoring has done for me. Thank you.
Congratulations, Rosita. So I'd like to welcome back to the podium my colleague Ken Yashin, who will introduce Amy Rainey, the recipient of this year's Communication Leader Award.
It's me again. Hello, everyone. Again, Ken Yashin, the Director of Communication Leadership Program. It's my pleasure again tonight to celebrate one of our outstanding alumni, to present, particularly in this case, Amy Rainey with the Communication Leadership Award, recognizing her ongoing engagement with our program and her exceptional contributions to strategic communication and profound social impact. Congratulations, Amy. Described by her colleagues as a rare talent and a blend of passion and pragmatism, Amy has distinguished herself as a leader in digital strategy and social impact communications. Our former director, Hansen Hussein, recalls that Amy's leadership qualities were evident from the moment she applied to the program as a journalist seeking to transition into digital storytelling. Today, Hansen says, I will only refer the most deserving members in my network to Amy so that they can now learn from her. To me, this is the best measure of a CommLeader Hall of Famer and an award recipient when a student grows into a highly sought after master of the discipline. Currently serving as a director of strategy, measurement, and operations at Pivotal Ventures, Melinda French Gates organization, dedicating to accelerating social progress, Amy plays a crucial role in advancing women's power and influence globally. Since graduating with Master of Communication and Digital Media in 2010, Amy has been a dedicated alum. Former Associate Director Anita Verna Crofts notes that Amy's commitment to our program's core values was evident as a student and has continued as an alum. Amy was part of the Brain Trust who renamed the program in 2013, served as a manager of the Alumni Fellows, has been a guest speaker in classes, and judge at Screen Summit, and consistently reaches out when she has hiring opportunities to ensure that our program's candidates are brought to her attention. Amy's professional trajectory demonstrates remarkable growth and impact. Over her near decade at Pivotal Ventures, she has progressed through increasingly senior roles, from digital communications officer to manager to senior manager to director of digital communications, and to shape and measure the impact of initiatives that reach millions of people worldwide. Her former colleague Wendy Wilkins observes, she has a unique ability to pair big picture strategy with flawless execution. She's the kind of leader you can give a hard problem to and she'll deliver every time. Through her work with foundations and nonprofits, Amy has developed and executed innovative programs that achieve measurable objectives, particularly in areas affecting women and marginalized communities. Amy's work at Pivotal Ventures directly supports initiatives that advance gender equity, expand economic opportunities for women of color, and remove systemic barriers to progress. Through high-impact investments, philanthropy, partnerships, and advocacy, Pivotal Ventures works to accelerate social progress, and Amy's strategic communication leadership ensures that efforts reach and influence the right audiences. Her approach to communication consistently demonstrates the values instilled by our program: ethical leadership, social responsibility, and the power of strategic communication to create positive change. Her classmate, Peter Lusix, remembers being impressed from the very first meeting with Amy that Amy cared little about showing her brilliance. Instead, she focused on questions that mattered. What's our overall strategy? How will this idea contribute? And most importantly, how does what we're doing matter to the people our work serves? Peter reflects, Amy is someone who gets the heart of the matter and someone who has the heart to go for initiatives that truly count. While I did not have the privilege to work with Amy as a student ever since I took the role of director, I have the chance to collaborate with Amy when she joined my classes as a guest speaker and served as a judge in our programs. I've been so struck by how Amy articulates her journey, translating how to build a career for the next generation of students with such clarity, wisdom, and generosity. Amy Rainey represents the best of our program, a professional who has achieved significant career success while using her communication expertise to address society's most pressing challenges. As Anita observes, when I think of the best kind of leader, humble, relational, and joyful, Amy ranks at the top of my list. Through her dual commitment to professional excellence and social advocacy, Amy embodies what this award is all about. For a reminder, this award recognizes not only her individual achievements, but also her ongoing dedication to ensuring that powerful stories reach the audiences who need to hear them the most. It's my great honor to present Amy with this award. Congratulations, Amy. We are so, so proud of you.
This whole time I've been trying to figure out whether we need to adjust the microphone, but it seems good. Thank you so much. That was so lovely, and this is such an incredible honor. Huge thanks to the Department of Communications and the CommLead program. I wanted to thank Hanson Hussein and Anita Werner-Crofts, whose amazing, lovely quotes were included in Akin's remarks. I wanted to thank them for all their support and mentorship, and wanted to thank Akin for her incredible leadership of the program and all the opportunities she's given me to stay involved in this CommLead community. So when it comes to our careers and the twists and turns it can take, I think sometimes things happen for a reason. I'm not even to the emotional part of my speech yet. Like, it's going to get more emotional. So in late 2008, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. My job at a large daily newspaper, which was the job I had dreamed of since I was 11 years old, had just been eliminated in a wave of layoffs. My boyfriend, now husband, he was thinking about going to grad school on the West Coast. So we were talking about his application, and I went to the UW website to look something up for him. And I was scrolling through the long list of every graduate program at the University of Washington when one caught my eye. Master of Communication in Digital Media. Like, what's that? I thought, that sounds cool. That sounds like what I'm interested in. And from there, I became obsessed with MCDM, as we used to call it. And I followed along as students live tweeted classes and live streamed classes. And Evelyn's lovely speech over Zoom, like, I can't think of anything more CommLead than that. And I read everything I could about the program. I had never been to the UW campus, but when I got the news I had been accepted, the decision just felt right. So we packed up our tiny car and drove across the country. And, you know, I had never planned to go to grad school. Through high school and college, every step I took was aimed at one goal: become a journalist. And thanks to my time in CommLead, I went from holding on very tightly to that old dream to finding and living out an entirely new one. In my time in the program, I learned and realized that there were so many ways I could use my skills as a communicator and leader and strategist to contribute to good in the world. I carved out a new path that ultimately led to my career in philanthropy. But today I want to tell you more about the other lifelong passion I found thanks to CommLead. Now we get to the really emotional part. So the other lifelong passion I found is really sharing my grandmother's story of surviving the Holocaust and doing everything I can to carry forward her legacy. My grandmother She survived Auschwitz-Birkenau and enslavement at a munitions factory in Allenburg, Germany. She lost her parents and most of her extended family. And at 19, she came to the United States as a refugee. And thanks to her determination and persistence, along with the help of so many people and so many aid organizations, she was able to build a new life here. I've known my grandmother's story for as long as I can remember. And as the, quote, family journalist, I also knew it was my job to document it. But this always felt really daunting, really hard. So I knew I needed a push. In my last quarter in CommLead, I used a class project to kind of give me that deadline I needed. I needed a project that was due and to make it happen. So when I went home that year for Thanksgiving, I spent hours with my grandmother, capturing her full testimony, and then incorporated that interview into a group project, which was a concept for an oral history storytelling site. I was really inspired by this experience and later developed MagdaBrown.com, which is a site dedicated to sharing her story. The website, I think, really helped more people around the world learn about her. She was already an active speaker, thankfully, but we started to see more and more invitations for events, panels, interviews. She started to receive more fan mail, as she called it, from really lovely messages about the impact she had had on people. My grandmother often began her speeches by explaining that genocide doesn't happen from one minute to the next. It builds gradually. She talked about the steps the Nazi Party took, including, of course, many steps: censoring journalists, spreading misinformation and propaganda, dehumanizing groups of people, using a secret police force as a tool of terror and control. And I think we'd all acknowledge we're living through a really terrifying period of history in the United States and around the world right now. And I'm seeing so many parallels to my grandmother's story. There are too many examples to name here, but one that keeps playing in my head is, in the Chicago neighborhood where I grew up, the same neighborhood where my grandmother lived when she first came to the US as an immigrant after surviving an authoritarian regime. In Chicago, there in recent weeks have been masked agents abducting people from their homes and off the street and throwing them into unmarked cars. And watching the videos of these surreal scenes, I keep thinking about my grandmother's description of how neighbors would just suddenly disappear. No one knew what happened to them. They were just gone. So my grandmother closed every speech by sharing 3 key lessons with her audience. Number 1, protect your freedom. Think before you hate and stand up to the deniers. So when I'm feeling scared and hopeless, as I often feel right now, I really try to ground myself in those 3 lessons, and from there I can usually figure out my next step. What do I do? She spent the last few decades of her life on a mission to share her story in the hope that we would learn from the past. And somehow, despite everything she'd been through, she was also a relentless optimist. She firmly believed in hope and faith and that there are more good people in the world than bad. So I would love it if after tonight's event, everyone would read or watch my grandmother's story, share it with someone in your life. I am a digital marketer at heart, so I will say it is at magdabrown.com. Go visit. I'm obligated to remind you of the URL. And just want to encourage us all as educators, communicators, storytellers to remember those 3 lessons and keep standing up and using our voice and fighting for what we believe in. Thank you so much.
Amy, thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate you. So help me to congratulate all 3 of our alumni of distinction, Amy, and Evelyn. Congratulations to all of them. Such a deserving group. So we have a brief intermission. So we'll meet back here. I will reconvene us at about 7:45. So please grab a drink, have some more food if you like, use the restroom in the back there, and I'll give you a heads up when it's time for us to take our seats again. So please enjoy. Thank you. Now it's time to induct the newest members of our Alumni Hall of Fame. A tradition that is now 20 years strong, and we're so delighted to invite this year's inductees. I couldn't think of a more deserving bunch. So I would like to please welcome my colleague Andrea Otanez to the podium to introduce our first Hall of Fame recipient of the evening, Angela King.
Thank you, Christine, and hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. I am Andrea Otanez. I'm a teaching professor here in the Department of Communication, specifically in the Journalism and Public Interest Communication program. And I have the exciting honor of introducing someone you know because of her years of reporting in front of the camera and now from behind the microphone at KUOW's Morning Edition. I'm here to tell you about Angela King, someone who gets you through your multitasking weekday mornings and for more than 3 decades has helped us understand our world. Angela graduated from the UW in 1994 with a double major in broadcast journalism and American ethnic studies. She originally came to Washington from Los Angeles to study communication at the University of Puget Sound, but eventually left that expensive tuition behind and transferred to the UW after the birth of her son. Why broadcast journalism? Her interest in the field started young. Picture 4-year-old Angela peering out from a cardboard box-turned TV with a hairbrush for a microphone. She said her natural curiosity led her to the Department of American Ethnic Studies across the street in Padelford Hall. Is that right? Was it in Padelford then, in 1994? Sorry, don't mean to put you on. Okay, it was SCAD, okay. But it wasn't just her natural curiosity that took her to American Ethnic Studies. It was also an encounter she had had when she first arrived in the Northwest, an encounter I'll tell you about in a minute. King storytelling is in her family, and her family has a long legacy of influential people who are highly story-worthy. Angela said to me of her family, quote, "I am blessed to be related and aware of them." Among her family greats is musician and composer Hall Johnson, who had many achievements, including being known as the godfather of Negro spirituals for his work cataloging and arranging most of the spirituals in circulation, bringing the oral tradition to pen and paper. Angela's grandparents on both sides were part of the Great Migration West and excelled in their fields, including her grandfather, who became the first West Coast regional manager for Pac Bell. To quote Angela, "I come from a distinguished but humble family. I don't brag, but given the chance to talk about them, ... She doesn't brag about herself either, but I will. King started her professional career as a TV news writer in Seattle before becoming a TV news reporter and anchor in Seattle, Portland, and Albuquerque. In 2017, King transitioned from her work in TV to become the local host of NPR's Morning Edition on KUOW 94.9 FM, a full circle moment for this UW alumna. Her work has been honored by many, including the Alliance for Women in Media Foundation, which gave her a Gracie Award, a coveted prize that recognizes exemplary programming created by women, for women, and about women. Gracie Awards also acknowledge individuals who have made inspirational contributions to the industry. Angela has been honored by the Society of Professional Journalists, and she won 2 Emmys from the National Academy of Television and Arts and Sciences. So, you remember I said an encounter that Angela had in Tacoma was important to her trajectory. When I asked her how she ended up blending broadcast journalism and American ethnic studies at the UW, she shared a moment from her early days in Washington State. She was just finishing up a nice conversation with an older gentleman when he said to her, "You are such a lovely colored girl." That moment, one she had never faced growing up in LA, was profound, she said. Was he racist? Was he naive? She didn't know, but that startling yet profound encounter made her think twice before immediately reacting. It made her want to help educate people. It helped set her compass points to American ethnic studies to understand more, and then eventually with her broadcast journalism training to file quote, hard-hitting reports on race and equity exposing white supremacist organizations in the Pacific Northwest. That quote comes from a description of her work from the Office of Minority and Diversity Affairs. I mentioned the Office of Minority and Diversity Affairs here at the University of Washington because they this year presented Angela with its Charles E. Odegaard Award, which recognizes leadership on behalf of diversity at the UW and citizens of the state. It is regarded as the highest achievement in diversity at the university. So what motivates Angela King in this work? To quote Angela, who is one of the most humble people I have met in a very long time, so much humility. Angela says, "It's all about who tells the story and the responsibility that comes with telling that story." I present your Communication Hall of Famer, Angela King.
Thank you. Reminds me of my old television days, you know, where you strike the pose this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Glad to leave that behind. It is such an honor to be in all of your presence this evening, and of course, to be receiving such an incredible honor from the Department of Communication here at the University of Washington. It's been said journalism is the rough draft of history. And in my more than 30 years in this business, I can say this year's draft, it's been pretty rough. On so many fronts, nationally, internationally, globally, environmentally, economically, civically, politically, professionally, let alone the whiplash pace of technology, AI, sharing information, communicating, and connecting. So a lot has changed, and so much has happened in our lifetime, especially in this industry called communications that we are the core and keepers of. Lots changed since I gave that first live report from the cardboard box, and a long time since those long nights editing video on the top floor of the communications building or cutting radio carts. Those were just some of the things we did back in the 1900s. Now, that being said, there was this young producer that I worked with when I was rounding out my on-air career about 8 years ago. And she told me she came up with a nickname for me. It was Mother Broadcast. Mother? How old do you think I am? And then I realized, yeah, I guess I'm now the elder in the newsroom, and it's such an honor. It is humbling to be the one now passing along some of those old, antiquated points of advice that never gets old. And just for the record, grammar always matters. I am a member of the old guard who can still learn new tricks and technologies, but always remaining loyal to the responsibility and the accountability that comes with informing the public, telling other people's stories, their story, her story, his story. Now, I learned that respect for storytelling largely because, as you heard, I had a front row seat to history. My mother taught me about my great-great-uncle, Francis Hall Johnson, who founded the Hall Johnson Choir in 1925. It's the choral group, as you heard, that's predominantly featured in old Disney classics like Dumbo and Snow White. But my Uncle Hall is also considered a godfather, so to speak, of the Negro spirituals. As a young boy, he listened to the songs that his mother and his grandmother sang to him when they were slaves. And as a man, he put pen to paper and arranged, cataloged for history's sake, the oral traditions of our ancestors, and is credited with creating one of the largest known collections of the Negro spiritual. Then there was my Uncle Mac, my grandfather's closest friend. He won the silver medal in the 200-meter dash during the 1936 Berlin Games in front of Nazi Germany and only 0.4 of a second behind Olympic gold medalist Jesse Owens. Not to mention his little brother was baseball legend Jackie Robinson. Now, my family's role in history has continued to reveal itself to me throughout the years, even some stories that no one really talked about. Take my granny, for example, Laura Amelia Bias King. She never spoke of her service during World War II, but I learned after her death she was one of the 855 mostly black women who made up the now famous 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion. It was an honor to join other 6888 descendants in Washington, D.C. this past spring to accept the Congressional Gold Medal on behalf of our mothers, our aunts, our sisters, and of course, our grannies. So to be tied to such incredible history, magical stories about my family, I guess I developed a natural love for storytelling that folded perfectly into this field of broadcast journalism. But while I did have my heart set on becoming a journalist someday, since I was a young girl, I nearly lost my chance to pursue this profession. At 18 years old, I got pregnant, and I had to drop out of college because I could no longer afford the tuition, which back then was $20,000. Back in 1989, 1990, expensive then. But the University of Washington gave me that second chance, and then the then School of Communications welcomed me into its halls, and now this, an induction into the Communications Hall of Fame. Now, I'm just me. I'm just me. I've always only been me. I am no Phyllis Fletcher. I am no Austin Jenkins. I am no Ross Reynolds, former and current colleagues of mine, both in TV with Austin and at KUOW, with now Phyllis Fletcher and Ross Reynolds. I am no Pulitzer Prize winning David Horsey, Peabody Award winner Susanna Frame, Lori Matsukawa. These are people I looked up to when I was coming up as a journalist, and of course, the late Steve Poole. I was none of them. But I do know one thing. Again, at the time, School of Communications equipped us all with the skills we needed to be trusted professionals. We learned to take what we do seriously. It's not some popularity contest. It's not about being on TV, having your voice on the radio, or having your name beneath some splashy byline. We were taught to treat the job we've been trusted with responsibility. We are defenders of freedom of speech. And these are lessons that we learned from professors like the late Don Pember, making sure we were versed in not only the letter of communications law, but understood the ethical duty that came with upholding standards of accuracy, integrity, and accountability, whether you wanted to or not. I was encouraged by other professors in different branches of the department, and I have to say I never took a PR class from Professor Kathleen Fernbanks, but she always had my back, and I always sat up a little straighter when I was in her presence. She challenged me through simple conversation and simply by her example to strive to do more, to be better, and to make a difference. And that's why it is so important that institutions like the Department of Communication here at the University of Washington continue to teach and instruct future journalists. It's important that us old folks in the newsroom hang in there, learn these new technologies, and continue the fight, continue to document history, especially given the time that we are in now. So while times have changed, it's important that we maintain the standards that were instilled in us by the Department of Communication, because it's not just about picking up a phone nowadays, which is so easy to do. Boom, I'm on TV, I have my own channel. Getting behind a microphone, starting a podcast. It is vital that we get things right, that we ask questions and persistently pursue the truth that's now often obfuscated by mis and disinformation. So, with my utmost humility, it is such an honor to be a member of the Hall of Fame, to be a part of this history, which is our story. Thank you so much. And for all of you who've put in on this girl named Angela King, I can only express my deepest gratitude to you, to the university, and to the Department of Communication. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Angela. Really appreciate that. I would like to now welcome my colleague, Dr. Matthew Powers, to introduce our next inductee, Bill Lane.
Thanks, Christine. It's a pleasure to introduce Bill Lane. Bill is a 1967 graduate from what was then the School of Communication, and someone whose advertising career has been, to say the least, both remarkable and deeply influential. Bill began his professional journey right after graduation, quite literally. He was the only advertising student in his class recruited directly by the J. Walter Thompson Company in New York, and he would spend, as he puts it, 10,000 days at JWT, which, for those of you who are on the journalism side of things, like myself, comes to roughly 30 years. Over the course of his career, Bill helped give voice, again, quite literally, to some of America's leading brands. For Ford, he wrote, "Have you driven a Ford lately?" For Northwest Airlines, he penned, "Some people just know how to fly." And his Times of Your Life campaign for Kodak won a Clio Award for Campaign of the Year and became a cultural touchstone, earning him recognition as Copywriter of the Year. Over the course of his career, Bill led creative teams in New York, Detroit, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. He served as Executive Vice President and sat on JWT's Worldwide Board of Directors. He collected what I think can fairly be called a shelf or two of honors, half a dozen Clios and several Gold Lions from Cannes. While Bill is known for his ads, he also wrote hit songs for Paul Anka, one of which being a top 10 hit, "I Will Spare You All and Not Sing It." I'll leave that to Bill. Authored a memoir, a craft, a calling, and a cause, and built a career defined by both creativity and integrity. Tonight, we are delighted to welcome Bill back to the University of Washington to celebrate his induction into the department's Hall of Fame. He's joined by, I know, his wife and at least a couple of his children, and some other guests too. So please join me in welcoming and congratulating Bill Lane.
you. Sitting down in front tonight is a man named Arnold Gooder, who 60 years ago was a teacher in the School of Communications and could not possibly imagine that the smart aleck with the crew cut sitting at the back of his class would be standing up here tonight on this occasion. Hi, Mr. Gooder. Thank you to Professor Harold, to the selection committee and the voting body for this wonderful honor. It's unexpected. I would also like to recognize someone I'd never met before tonight. He's sitting in front as well, who, unbeknownst to me, kept track of my career over the years and saw fit to recommend me for nomination and to lobby on my behalf. Thank you, Greg Taylor.
You rock, Bill.
It would be impossible to overstate the importance of the role this institution played in defining the course of my life. I'd spent my first 2 years at Washington dabbling in political science and English literature until I woke up one morning and figured I better get into something that will teach me how to make a living. I could write a little, and so I gravitated to the communications school with the full intention of becoming a journalist. Almost immediately, my full attention was ambushed by two terrific teachers who infected me with a passion for the profession of advertising. Advertising around here was a pretty big deal back then, and Bill Winter and Arnie Gooder conducted a swaggering program too dynamic to be contained by classrooms. Our days would commonly spill over into long evenings when we'd gather to vigorously give and take over marketing strategies and creative concepts, often at the Duchess Tavern, over pitchers of beer. I checked it out, Arnie. I think the statute of limitations has run out on your involvement in those shenanigans. Winter and Gooder preached the power of ideas and the respect for craft. They instilled in us the belief that irrespective of geography or circumstances, talent will tell. They convinced me that even though I came from way out here in Seattle, I had the stuff to play way back there on the big stage. The big stage was, of course, New York, New York, Madison Avenue, Mad Men, and all that. It was my good fortune that Washington's advertising program was held in such high regard that every February, representatives from J. Walter Thompson, at that time the largest and most important advertising agency in the world, would make a pilgrimage to Montlake to interview graduating seniors. They had found over the years that Washington was fertile ground for unearthing the future generations of professional talent. It was in the February of 1967 when Misters Winter and Gooder decided that I was among those to be interviewed. I must have said something right. For 2 days after graduation, 2 days, I found myself 3,000 miles away in New York City on the first of my 10,000 days at J. Walter Thompson. Days that took me everywhere from the White House to the Great Wall of China, doing the work that the then School of Communications prepared me for. I was privileged to work in collaboration with famous filmmakers, directors, such as Ridley Scott, photographers like Richard Avedon, and some music people you might have heard of, like Tony Bennett and Paul Anka and B.B. King. I was welcomed into the executive suites of some of America's leading corporations, notably Eastman Kodak and Ford, and allowed, even encouraged, to create the kind of advertising that insinuated itself into the country's culture. When people say to me how lucky you were to have done all this, I say, fortunate, yes. Lucky, no. For the University of Washington and its school, now Department of Communications, had prepared me well. All my life, I have been proud to come from this place. I hope along the way, I have made it proud of me. Thank you.
Congratulations. It's really so moving to hear all of just the different generations and perspectives on this ever-evolving thing that is communication here at University of Washington. So it's really delightful. Thank you. So I would like to welcome my colleague Kaylee Cook, who will introduce our final, but certainly not least, inductee into our Alumni Hall of Fame, Dr. Kristen Moran.
Nothing like being the person standing between people and the end of their night, so I promise I'll make it worth it. There are a few reasons that a person decides to pursue work in higher education. For some, it's the intellectual community. For others, it's to investigate the world. For some, maybe it's the chance to relive their college days for the next 50 years of their working lives. We all know we don't get in it for the money. That moment when you see a student, though, get that light bulb moment. That's one reason why. You join the academy to see that light bulb moment. It's witnessing them build a pathway to higher understanding, momentum towards a true self, the realization of potential. To do that, you have to build bridges, real bridges between you and the student, and that doesn't happen by chance. Dr. Kristen Moran may not know this, but her class was the first light bulb moment for me as a terrified freshman at the University of San Diego. Her class was a real source of realization. As an aside, it was also a real source of, I met my spouse there, my spouse of 25 years. She knows that too. That's a story for later. It was a realization that what I wanted to study and know about had a name. It was communication, and I know I wasn't the only one. Kristen Moran built bridges to the discipline for decades, showing students a path to study that they didn't know existed. We learned to love communication and media studies in her class. We learned to love reading and close analysis in her class. We learned to be critical in her class. We learned about authentic community in her class. And I learned what kind of teacher and mentor I wanted to be in her class. Dr. Moran earned both her MA in 1997 and her PhD in 2000 at the University of Washington School of Communications. Today, Dr. Moran serves as a professor of communication at the University of San Diego, where she teaches a range of media studies courses and has mentored generations of students. Over her distinguished career at USD, she's also taken on major leadership roles, serving as department chair, the inaugural core curriculum director, and since 2017, associate dean for the faculty. In that role, she's led efforts to modernize hiring practices, develop anti-bias training for search committees, and launch a formal mentoring program for new faculty and department chairs. She's made a real difference in what it means to be a faculty at University of San Diego. Her commitment to educational leadership was recognized nationally through her selection as an American Council on Education Fellow last year. And Dr. Moran's scholarship is equally impressive. Grounded in Latinx media studies, her research examines how media discourse shapes public understanding of the Latinx community. Recently, she's turned her attention to the digital transformation of media, studying how new modes of content delivery affect creative processes, audience engagement, and the role of Latinx journalism in today's news environment. The through line here of Dr. Moran's work is as a connector, and she continues to build those bridges to the academy, our country, her university, our discipline, and our community. She continues to extend the impact of her work far beyond the classroom where I met her and her campus, helping to shape how we think about media, identity, and representation in our society. It is my great honor to welcome inductee and my mentor, Dr. Kristen Engström Moran, to the University of Washington Department of Communication Alumni Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much, Kaylee. As she said, she was a student in my class. I have to say, you're not the only couple that's come out of my class, too. I know. I don't know if you guys remember Sam Woolley and Sam Shorey. They also were a match. Yeah. I am just really honored to return to the University of Washington, and especially to the Department of Communication. I've been able to watch many undergrads bloom under my mentorship, and some of them come here. In fact, I was just talking to a student who's going to be applying to your program soon. So when you're here at graduate school, you really don't know how lucky you are to be given the gift of time to think, to learn from faculty and peers. I have such fond memories of discussing communication theory over beers on the Ave, ordering a pound of love at Rory's on Eastlake. It was the mid-1990s when I arrived, and Seattle was still reeling from Kurt Cobain's death. It was wet, it was dark, it was very different from California, and the perfect climate for studying communication. I remember getting my first email address on the Pine server, wondering what this new way to send and receive information was going to be about. And we debated in class whether the New York Times would ever put a color photo on their front page. I also learned that I loved teaching while I was at UW. I know, my first love was supposed to be scholarship, but I actually loved Fridays. It was stressful running to all 4 sections on campus, but I thought it was great. I became the lead TA for an Intro to Comm class and was so thrilled to be able to shape content for those discussion sections. I was also fortunate during that time period, we talked about teaching. We had sessions with the Teaching and Learning Center. We talked with communication faculty, and they helped us understand pedagogy. We got tips on how to write exams. We got tips on how to grade papers in a way that wasn't really honors. I don't think we were using words like assessment and learning outcomes yet, but we were on our way. I still remember all these experiences, and they helped me to determine that I wanted to be at a teaching institution, that I valued pedagogical development, and I wanted to be at a place that was primarily an undergraduate learning environment. I returned to my undergraduate institution at the University of San Diego, where I started in a non-tenure track position and then got fortunate to apply to a tenure track one. The faculty member who had who was in my field of study actually quit academia to start a .com. It was 2001. My graduate school classes and TA training became my teaching portfolio. I took Richard Kobauwitz's international law class. Literally, those became my notes and my lectures. I watched Jerry Baldesty command a lecture hall with 450 students, and he knew how to engage stories and content and weave it into exciting lectures. And then my advisor, Dr. Nancy Rivenberg, she provided so much support for my scholarly achievements. She advised both my master's thesis and dissertation, and she was there to offer advice for my future career. What I've learned is that teaching keeps you on your toes. It's a deadline that has no forgiveness. And of course, teaching communication is ever evolving. The rapidness of technology makes me question my credibility regularly. It's been a crazy 25 years, and trying to keep up with how young people engage with social media and the ever-changing streaming platforms is really difficult. And I actually am grateful, though, that the 1990s is having a renaissance on streaming, because now people are getting my references again. But I didn't realize how much I learned about the academy through my experience at grad school until I started in administrative positions. I went through the faculty ranks, was promoted to full professor in 2012, and I was also serving as department chair. It was then that I realized the importance of faculty mentorship and the need to challenge systemic issues that disproportionately impact faculty, especially mothers and other faculty of color. As department chair, I worked on department processes that supported new and young faculty. We hired faculty from diverse backgrounds who were challenging norms in the field. At a primarily undergraduate institution that emphasizes the liberal arts, teaching excellence is our first criterion in our promotion processes. That means that there's a lot of emphasis placed on student feedback. As chair and later associate dean, I provided context for the ways in which student perceptions of teaching often replicate unconscious, and sometimes overt, bias against women, young faculty, faculty of color, international faculty, and any faculty with marginalized identities. I wanted to translate my passion for teaching into improving systems so that faculty are empowered to do their best work. I created workshops for those who served as mentors, other senior faculty who did the reviews, and chairs to identify patterns in student evaluations and helped to reframe peer observations of teaching to mitigate bias in both hiring and promotion decisions. This past year, I served as an ACE fellow and spent time focused on the importance of the role of higher education as a driver of social and economic mobility for many. This leadership development program helped me realize how much my training in communication feeds my leadership philosophy as well. My definition of leadership aligns with the servant leader framework that emphasizes building trust through action with integrity. Listening and learning from others to inform decision-making builds that trust that you need among stakeholders. My training in communication has helped me learn how to identify a problem, collaborate with others, and use persuasive communication skills to steer things forward. As higher education continues to face attacks on its purpose and worthiness, I have been reflecting on why I wanted to become a professor in the first place. And it's because I believe in the transformative power of higher education. Access and inclusion have been the rallying cries for all of our campuses, and we must commit to ensuring that we hold institutions and the federal administration accountable for this promise. I believe that we make a difference when we ask students to think critically about the stories we tell. After all, communication is the primary social process that conditions us to understand ourselves and others. We need to be diligent, now more than ever, to meet students where they are and to show them how to ask questions. We need to help them understand to be critical of information, to be media literate, but also when to know to celebrate the good work of journalists who are investigating the important stories that amplify truth. I want to thank you for this honor and for the invitation to reflect on the past 25 years. And thanks to social media, I have been able to keep tabs on some of my cohort, and my peers during that time period are doing wonderful work in the academy and in other sectors. I am grateful to my husband, Dan, who's here with me tonight. He actually moved to Seattle with me so I could go to grad school and has been a steadfast supporter of my career and our family. When our kids needed an at-home parent, he was there for school pickups and rides to everything they needed to do. I'm grateful for his continued support. In sum, I feel like I still have a lot to do. I'm hopeful that higher education as a social good will continue to offer opportunities for growth, to empower young people to see their future selves as making an impact on society, and to challenge all of us to do better. In my own development, I find myself influenced by those in my professional and personal life that are honest, that are kind, and can see the humor and the goodness in a life well lived. In the academy, we encounter unpredictable and interesting challenges, but working alongside people who believe in the best intentions with each other and ending each day knowing our work will have a positive impact is what keeps me going. So thank you so much for the foundation that I got at the School of Communications and the Department of Communication now, and I am just very grateful to be back at UW. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kristen. Can we just have a quick round of applause for all of our awardees tonight?